Alright, let's do this. Alright, so last time when we left off, we had just got done salting down our pork, which was the Boston Butts. And like I said in the last video, you use a ½ ounce of salt to every pound of pork that you're using. A little edit for when I said in the last video, I said that you need to watch your external temperature for like the weather, for it to be 70 degrees Fahrenheit or lower for after you smoke it and you open up the smoker to let it air dry. It actually needs to be less than in like the low 60s ideally. Now that is if you're going to let it cool down to basically room temperature wherever your smoker is sitting in the smoker. You do also have the option of picking up the meat, bringing it inside to your house if you don't mind your house smelling like smoked meats. Personally, I don't mind. And you can set it down in front of a fan or in front of an air conditioner and let it cool down. You just want it room temperature before it goes back into a refrigerator, because if it goes in too hot, it's going to spoil while inside the refrigerator. So this is the next portion of the step for part 2, is you take your pork, and since we have double sinks, we fill this with cold water halfway. I need to put more in this one in a second. And it has to be cold water. If you do hot water, the salt actually absorbs back deeper into the meat, and it can be darn near so salty you almost can't eat it. But with cold water, you'll take your meat. I'll take the largest one out of the group here. And I've got the drain board washed out and cleaned up. We have our scrub brush here, which is my porky friend, which is only used when we're doing the meats, not for dishes. And you'll take your meat, and you get it right there in the water, and you literally scrub the meat. As weird as that sounds. You're going to be scrubbing the excess salt off. And you'll watch the water. And when your water starts to get cloudy, you'll move it over. And I like to do this 4 times, so each sink twice. Get all the surfaces, all the nooks, all the crevices. And that's to help get the salt out. You rinse it off really, really well. And I'll show you what to do next. As you can see here, this water is really, really murky now, so we're going to drain it. That's round 1. Round 2 is over here. And that murk is from the salt. I kind of have an idea of how hard I need to scrub it and how long I need to scrub it for and how many times to do it in each sink, so I just kind of eyeball it. If you're new or not sure or want to make sure that you got it just right before going and throwing it in the smoker, you can cut up a small slice afterwards and fry it up and try it. Tastes too salty? Scrub it more. Tastes alright? You're good to go. So I'm going to get all 4 of these scrubbed off. I'll do it, like I said, each sink at least 4 times. That's my personal preference. I may test the piece just to try it. Then I'm going to toss it over here in the drain board, let some of the water run off of it as I work on the others. And then I'll show you what to do with the smoker here in a second. So here we got our old electric smoker, and this is actually going to be this one's last hurrah on running because it is just so old. And we're upgrading to a much larger Pit Boss, so it's going to go out with a bang. And we're using, this is an electric smoker, we're using pelleted apple pellets, wood for our smoking. So once you get your meat in, put them in your racks. You want your heat to be, get it on, $74 right now. It's going to go for 140 degrees. I don't know if you guys can hear this. I've got coyotes howling in the background. The joys of living out in the middle of nowhere. And depending on your humidity, if you've got low humidity, you can maybe get away with doing 12 hours. But here in Louisiana, it's swampy. I'm going 14. After 14 hours, this will shut off. And then I'll come out and I'll open the door and crack it and put a clothespin in just enough so that it will vent. And then once it's vented, I come back out and we'll open the door all the way, and it's starting to cool off some, I'll let it air out more. If your external temperature outside is higher than the low 60s in Fahrenheit, like I said, you can put them in a pan. You can bring them indoors into a room where it's slightly air conditioned, put a fan directly on them. Once they've cooled down completely down to room temperature, then you can refrigerate it. From there, you'll slice the meat, and you'll slice it to your preferred thickness. I can show you later how to slice the meat up. If you'll want to cut and you get some really small pieces, I highly suggest saving those and using them in omelets and making breakfast burritos with them. They're really amazing. But if anyone has any questions, post down on the bottom and I'll gladly do my best to answer them.